Can you hear me? Okay, so first of all, many thanks to all of you to join us for this workshop, which is supposed to bring you some latest updates about CIP 3 projects, which were mentioned in the description of the workshop. And with that, without any long introduction, I would just give you indication why actually we came with the proposal of this workshop. The main idea was really to trigger discussion about this phenomena of open data, and particularly open data in the field of geospatial domain. And we think that also from experiences gained through these projects, and hopefully with together with your first initial feedback and maybe really direct questions and sort of interaction, we would be happy to get some sort of first feeling. What do you think, whether this fits to your work? With that, I would really encourage all of you to join to the second part of more interactive communication, where after the first 3 presentations, actually, yeah, I hope it will be better. After these first 3 presentations, we would like to open sort of discussion or really brainstorming to actually get some sort of feedback from your side. So first of all, if you will have some questions, please let us know who you are, where you are coming from. It's also very valuable information for us. And for time being, we are planning to split this workshop to 2 parts. First 3 presentations will be around 15 minutes each. And after each presentation, we also will open some brief question or round for questions. And then in the second part, we would like to more communicate with you and to, as I said, to see your opinions. So without any further info, I would give floor to Michal Esbriatos to share with us some basic and intro about the project called Foodie. So Michal, please, floor is yours. Okay, let me just. It's not easy.
Okay, thank you, Martin. So my name is Miguel Ángel Esbrí. I work for Atos Spain, and I will be presenting the Foodie project, for which I am the coordinator as well. So this project is mainly focused on open data related to the agricultural domain. So, and why this project? One of the challenges we are trying to overcome here is that, okay, it's a bit difficult. Okay, so the agriculture, can you hear me? Yeah, okay. The agriculture sector is unique and quite a unique and strategic sector, which involves not only citizens as consumers, but also an economic part, not only at European level, but also in global, which comprehends a lot of sectors or subsectors and organizations. So in this sector, different groups of stakeholders need to acquire different kind of information in order to make sound decisions, economic or environmental ones. So as we can see in this diagram, for instance, at European or national level, politicians and decision makers need to provide policies related to subsidies, standardization, national strategies for rural inclusion, and things like that. Also, they need to make an assessment of the ecological performance or to provide the tools for creating sustainable agriculture, also in terms of crop recollection, and provide information in the timing and pricing of the crops. And also, for instance, for the farmers, it's also interesting to get information in terms of plague detection, when is the better time for planting the crops, and things like that. So more specifically at the farm level, if we take the farm level as reference, for the farmer, it could be interesting to have information in order to know how to apply this to the micro level, so it can perform precision farming based on, for instance, prices in the future market for the crops for the next years, or the oil prices, or also weather conditions. But also on the macro level, if we aggregate the information that we are collecting at farm level, this could be also useful for high-level decision makers, so they can know what's going on their country or in the European level. So, and that's why we proposed this project to European Commission. So the project is Foodie, which stands for Farm-Oriented Open Data in Europe. It started in March, so we are running like 4 or 5 months since that, and it will end at the beginning of 2017. So as Martin also said, this project makes part of the CIP program, which is related to the geographical open data topic. We are 13 partners, for which Atos is the coordinator, and we involve some research institutions which provide expertise related to open data, sensors, integration of data models, also industrial partners which provide the expertise in integrating different systems like Atos or Ceresco, which is also a Spanish company, and also end users involved in the agricultural domain, like the Czech company MJM. We are also involved in SMEs, because this was also one of the key points of the call, which wanted to provide tools for enhancing the probabilities for SMEs in order to make more businesses and get more revenue on that, on the use of open data. So we have some SMEs like Netcat, which is a Turkish one, which provides GIS knowledge. Progis, who is also a GIS small company, but very focused on the agricultural domain. And Terras Gauda, for instance, which is a vineyard company in Spain. And also public bodies organizations that will provide also additional requirements for the project. So the main idea of Foodie is to provide, is to enhance the farm management processes by providing some health observation techniques. So this includes using satellite imagery, but also crowdsourcing information, in special the ones provided by, information provided by farmers, either using sensors deployed in their farm fields, or any other additional information they can input in the system. Also, we aim to provide some crop and agricultural land use monitoring methods, and also develop some data models in order to integrate all the information we will need to create analytical tools that will be used by farmers and other stakeholders in order to enhance the management of the farms. So also this project tries to address the problem of assessing the environmental and the environmental impact of the agricultural performance in the field. So we can, in this way we can know if it has a bad impact, or how the farmer, since he's the one who is using these tools and is in more contact with the field, can use the tools in order to improve the environment he is within. Okay, some of the high-level objectives that we have in the project is to build an open and interoperable platform hub, which is mainly focused on the agricultural domain. So this will allow to manage spatial but also not spatial information from heterogeneous sources, and will allow us to integrate already valuable existing data sets that have been created by several bodies in public bodies, mainly across Europe, either at national or European level. So also the idea is to publish and link these external agricultural data sources, so new knowledge can be extracted from that and new applications can be built on top of that, so they are useful for different stakeholders. And also, as I said, the idea is that we will create a specific high-value applications for the different stakeholders, and in particular for farmers. So the idea is to create decision support tools that allow the farmers and other stakeholders to take the right decisions in time. And also, as a high-level objective is to provide a marketplace on top of this platform. So we enable that not only the participating farmers can provide their data as open data, but also other stakeholders or companies or bodies in Europe can also contribute to the platform, so we can enrich the data they are providing. And this will enable to create additional business for those companies. So they can use the data in the platform, but they can also integrate it with other data they can have in their own systems and create new applications. So this is more or less the same, but with the architecture, the high-level architecture diagram. So the idea is that we will have a cloud infrastructure that will allow us to create on top of that the open and interoperable geospatial cloud platform, which will integrate several heterogeneous data sources from Inspire, CISE, GMES, Copernicus, Galileo, etc. So the idea is, as I said, to link this data to make sense of it. And we will provide on top of that several applications by combining different components, most of them open source. And the idea is that we will provide an open API, which is a lightweight one, which will allow in a more flexible manner to interact not only with the data stored in our repositories, but also with the components that we develop. So we are enabling third parties to provide data to the platform, also reuse it, but also create new applications, as I said, by using these APIs. Okay, so one of the advantages of having this cloud platform is that most of the data is already contained there, and if not, you can, by using the APIs, you can include new one or integrate it with other existing services. But the idea is that by using the stored data in the platform and the analytical modules that we will produce, we are in this way enabling several stakeholders to use the system in order to answer several questions they have in different domains, like, I mean, in the agricultural domain, but with different aspects, like market analysis or farming or advisory services, assessment of climate change, and so on. And the idea is that this is not only related to a single stakeholder, so there are different stakeholders that can be using this kind of analytical modules in order to interact with the data stored in the platform. Okay, some innovative aspects that we aim to provide during the project is that by providing cloud deploying of basic standardized services, we are decreasing the cost of the deployment of the solution. So this is like you deploy once and it can be used by many clients or customers just with a single deployment, so you don't have to install it in every computer. So, and this, by the way, is also enabling us to create this kind of federalized or network of cloud hubs, where by using linked data concepts, we can interlink the different data sets across the different clouds we may have in the future. Also, we aim to enable the easy discoverability and composability of the services. So the idea is that since we are providing this marketplace and also through catalogs, the idea is that the data and the service themselves will be able to be discovered, so they can be composed with other applications. And this will also allow to third parties to create tailored based applications by personalizing the service they want to provide by using ours. We also aim to provide the pay-as-you-go paradigm. So there is that you some of the services will be for free, but some others could be freemium. So if you want to use them, you just pay in a fee-based schema for them. Also, since we aim to use open data, and we also want to other parties to provide us with data, so the idea would be to provide reward mechanisms. So you can use some, as I said, some services for free, and others are for you have to pay for them. But the more data you provide, the lower will be the price for you to pay, for instance. So this could be interesting for farmers. Like they have several sensor networks. If they contribute with a data to the platform, they could get access to reports or other applications with a lower cost. We also want that the users of the platform see a clear return of investment when they use the platform, in the sense that, for instance, could be a cost saving method for the farmers to use one of the decision support systems, for instance, for calculating the the oil needed for running its machines in its field in the farm. So he can, using the decision support system, check which is the best path to perform the crop, and it's a way of saving costs in either with oil, or for instance also using future market prices. He could determine which could be the best crop for the next years. So it's a way of also having an increased income. And last, we also aim to be the platform that can be used in a multi-device platform. So we will use HTML5, so it can be easily used in a normal web browser, but it can be also adapted to other devices, so it can be used anywhere. Okay, the idea to realize this project is through 3 main pilots. One is in Spain, which is related to the precision viticulture. So this is mainly run by the Terras Gauda end user. So the idea here is to focus on the appropriate management of the different variability of the grapes crops in the north of Spain. So they aim at having an increase in the economic revenue, but also in a reduction in the environmental impact by using the platform. The second one is run in the Czech Republic, and the idea is to integrate with other existing farming systems they already have, but they also want to introduce new tools, management methods for optimizing the costs of running the farm, and also reducing the energy consumption, while also lowering the environmental impact. And the third one is based on Germany, and the idea is to integrate into the logistics chain farms, but also the machinery cooperatives. So they are aware of, I mean, the idea is to integrate the different systems so can share information. And for instance, they can buy and sell the different fertilizers and so on directly through the system. Okay, and that's all.
Thanks a lot, Michal. Maybe before we will go for the next presentation, I will ask Jan to prepare. Are there some direct questions you would like to clarify at this moment? Yeah, please go ahead.
How will you reach the farmers? How will you communicate that this project exists and how that they should...
Okay, well, we already have some farmers in this project. So it's, yeah, okay, 2 of them are involved. And for instance, with the last pilot, which is related to the machinery cooperatives, they have like a magazine where they have like 3,000 subscribed farmers or something like that. So this is a way of reaching them. So, but the idea is also through this kind of workshops to contact them. We are targeting some specific conferences related to agriculture. So it's a way also of contacting them. And also, for instance, one of the Polish partners we have, which is precisely providing the cloud platform, they are in a very close relation to the commerce camera in, you say, commerce camera?
You mean professional?
Yeah, it's like a public body in Poland which provides services for farmers. So this is also a way of contacting them.
Yeah, I fully agree that getting this critical mass is crucial precondition for any success in the future. So,
and also our idea is that during the project, since we want to get as much as possible farmers involved, the solutions we develop will be for free for them. So it's a way of getting them involved, and then if they want to continue using, we could discuss some schema for paying or something like that.
Okay, thanks for time being. After this really domain agricultural specific presentation, we would move to the second one, which is more, I would say, sort of bridge between first and the last one, and it's more about the applications and solutions, and then I will ask Jan to share with us what this project is about.
Can you hear me? Yes. Okay, my name is Jan Bojko. I am speaking here on behalf of Czech Center for Science and Society. We are one of the partners of the project. Also, people who are with more cooperation with me are Tomáš Mildorf and Karel Charvat. I will start with some guess. By 2015, approximately 183 billion apps will be downloaded each year. It's a very big increase from 2010, as you can see. I like to say that application without data is like a fish out of the water. So can you imagine how many data would be necessary to need for all these applications somewhere? I think SDI for apps with all the cloud focus environment can help with this kind of problems. I will start with this very generic scheme. It's also available on the web page sdi4apps.eu. as you can see on the system, we have to somehow harvest or pull data from different sources. In general, we can say it could be from open data, spatial data, or environmental data. Yes, open data and spatial data can somehow overlap, or all three sources can overlap. Like in environment and data, you can imagine it could be something like Urban Atlas, Natura 2000, or these sources. Every sources has to be somehow harmonized, somehow prepared to the cloud for better reuse, or for helping other small companies or users to reuse them. So it's this part of the scheme. The transformation can be done by some language translation, transformation of coordinate system, or data model shifting, or something like that. Also, data has to have some metadata. The SDI for apps platform will try to do it with the power of the consortium, because our partners have been involved in several European projects, so we have a lot of knowledge and experiences with these kind of data. These harmonized data will be somehow prepared, somehow standardized, and then we can add another level or we can somehow enhance the data, create linked data, so they can be connected together inside the system, or with data outside the SDI for apps platform. After the transformation, there will be possibility to provide data to the small companies, to users, to somehow support the business. Here you can see the delivery channels of the data. We can provide APIs. We can provide some access point to data, which will be simpler for the SMEs or other users. Also in SDI for apps, we will try to use crowd sourcing and volunteer geoinformation system data, which will be used at the first place when we will harmonize data, and also after the republishing of the data, crowdsourcing will be for the volunteer, it will be simple to create crowdsourcing on top of the SDI for apps provided data. These are the project effects. Project title is uptake of open geographic information through innovative services based on linked data. Acronym is SDI for apps. We have started this year, and it's a three years project. Project coordinator is from Czech Republic. It's University of West Bohemia in Plzeň. Our consortium has 18 partners from all over the Europe. It's from Greece, Italy, Czech Republic, Slovakia, Norwegian, and others. Some partners are, I think more partners are technological. Some are cloud enablers like Masaryk University, which will allow us to create or develop the cloud-based platform. You can project aim. I think the goal of the project is to show other small private organization or firms to how to manage the big data, how to use data from the SDI for Apps platform is their own data. It will be held by pilots which will focus on creating some virtual hubs for publishing their data. SDI for apps is not project which is starting from scratch. I think we have a lot of experience from other projects. Some were more focused on data, some on social validations, some on application development. So I think in SDI for apps we can offer a lot of knowledge. This is the very general scheme of the problem. We have on the one side of the river we have OGC experts, Inspire experts, standardization, and these very difficult things. And on the other side we have normal user who uses Facebook, Gmail, social network, OpenStreetMap, and these kinds of ordinary tools. So the SDI for apps will try to somehow connect or create a bridge between these two worlds, because I think it's easier to harmonize some data on the cloud platform and then provide them in more simpler way than let the users to use it directly. Now this scheme represents what we will try to reach. It's to increase the benefits for the local level of SDI or Inspire standard process. Because nowadays it's very difficult for small companies to somehow follow Inspire or this standardization, because it's for them very costly, very very difficult. So SDI for apps will prepare for them some API, some data, some ways how to more benefit from the Inspire. This is some other image how or it shows how our SDI and open data will be tried through the SDI for apps to spread using a lot of devices like mobile phones, notebooks, and support a lot of branches of kinds of interest like tourism, education, and we have 6 pilots. Unfortunately, pilots are starting after 1 year of the project, so they will use platform after it will be somehow settled. So it can be difficult, but in some way it can be better for the pilots because they can bring some other data to the system and use it together. This is some simple step-by-step implementation. Here is very important that every step will be validated somehow. After the first steps, we will make validation inside the SDI for apps experts, and then after another enhance or extend the link of the system, we will bring another social evaluators or some other users to the community for other feedback. This is some concrete scheme of architecture. It is about cloud and how cloud can enhance the database storage speed or power. So it is based on one limitation of PostgreSQL database, which can use only one CPU by instance, so it is sometimes difficult to manage big amount of data. So in this cloud, we will try to somehow split or spread the cloud endpoints for writing, reading, and manipulating with the huge data. This is the scheme of the work packages. They are interlinked. Very one thing which I can raise is that work package 2 is around all the work packages, so it's the important social validation work package. Other are and these are the core results of the project we hope to we will reach. So it's some new generation of SDI tools for easy access of spatial and no spatial data, APIs for application developers, the whole concept of the cloud infrastructure, how to create the cloud, how to manage the processes inside. I have to say that the cloud enabler from Masaryk University will only provide the cloud during the project, and then the project consortium will have to say where the cloud will be moved, but as we know, the cloud from the Masaryk University is very compatible with another used by Amazon or Google or another, so it will be not so hard to use it somewhere else. And last slide, this is free things for exploitation business. We will try to increase business opportunities, support other public authorities with this platform, and try to help application developers from the SDI and open data world to work with our cloud platform. It's all.
Okay. Yeah, also I think it's quite important to mention in connection to this project that despite of the fact that it's still on the beginning, there are quite important ambitions already paved in the project proposal, and like Jan expressed, the main sort of target of the project is really to show the simplicity of some solutions based on the Inspire. Because as you are, most of you are aware, there is a lot of complex technologies behind, a lot of technical and legal documents, and sometimes it's very important actually to communicate the outcome not only of the Inspire and the SDI efforts and processes to the wider audience, wider public, but also to the sectors which are significantly influencing to the overall society, like in this case private sector and SMEs. So if there are some questions for this project, please go ahead. Thanks a lot. Yeah?
You said one of the most crucial parts in your data stream is that you, at some point, you have the harmonization process and the added value by publishing as linked open data.
Okay.
Probably there's a lot of work involved in that harmonization, but also in providing the links. How is that going to be accomplished in the project?
Yeah. You want to target or? No?
I don't know if I can.
If I may, I am also involved in the project. For the links, you mean actually where these triplets or links will be created, or?
You have to provide the links,
yeah.
Otherwise you cannot reach them.
The plan is that one of the outcomes, I'm not sure if it was mentioned in the slide, is to also provide the spatial data which are in the premises of the partners as a linked open data. It means that these data will be, currently they are stored in a relational databases. So the plan is to move these data sets to some triple stores and actually do sort of transformation to existing ontologies. And if there will be no suitable ontologies, one of the plan is really to come with some proposals what kind of new schemas in that sense should be provided. But definitely one of the main message of the project is really to reuse what is already on the scene. So really not to invent again the wheel, but check what's outside on the internet. If there is nothing, then propose something. And maybe one point to add what Jan said. Also the truth is that in the project plan, the original roadmap was planning that pilots will start to be discussed sometime after 1 year. Already 2 weeks ago we had a technical meeting where we came to the conclusion that definitely the pilots have to be open as soon as possible, because one question is how to set up the architecture, the cloud infrastructure. The second thing is actually how we will demonstrate the functionality of this architecture through this pilot. So maybe we will change a bit these plans, but definitely the pilots are very important selling point from the project perspective. Yeah. Okay. If so, I would really keep the original proposal and ask Tomáš Mildorf to share with us also the last project called Open Transport Net. And Tomáš, then floor is yours.
Thank you, Martin. Good afternoon. As Martin said, my name is Tomáš Smeldorf. I'm from the University of West Bohemia in Pilsen, from the Czech Republic. And I will conclude the first part of the workshop with presentation of Open TransportNet project. And I will open the second part of the workshop. It's the questions and interaction with you. I'll just move on with the slides. The main idea of the project is to create some smart apps and services in the transport domain. The project Open TransportNet is financed through the same mechanisms as the previous projects, Foodie and SDI4 apps, and similarly the objectives are also similar. I will not go into details in with all the slides, but I will just pick few things and stress them out. Just full title, duration also 3 years. We started in February this year, and here is the consortium. There are 14 partners covering, I think, 6 or 7 countries in Europe. There are partners focused on management, coordination, dissemination. Then we have a few GI, geographic information experts, and we have also pilot sites, which I will introduce later. The other slide shows the distribution of the partners. As I said, 6 countries covering kind of all the corners of Europe. Then the main expertise, so GI data specialists, innovation experts, exploitation experts, transport experts, and state-of-the-art technology experts. There are 3 main challenges, as mentioned in previous presentations. Without data, there will be no applications. The technology, there are still a few things we can enhance, and of course some innovation aspects. I will just go through all of these. So data objectives. We can experience that data are scattered in various places, in various formats, using different languages. So we would like to overcome that and make some harmonization of data and putting them in one place so they can be easily shared and accessed. Important aspect in this data objectives is semantics. So creating links between data and making them better for use. The technology objectives include also involvement of users, because in many projects in this technological or technical projects, the results are not user-driven mostly, as they should be. So the design and the architecture is not focused on the user, on the end user, and they are sometimes difficult to use, and they are not in the end usable and sustainable. I will move on to the innovation objectives. Of course, it's to deploy the hub, which will share data across Europe in the transport domain. Then the other stage is to include some sponsors and innovators who will, based on this hub, create their own applications, and they will further reuse the data for their own purposes, commercial and non-commercial. And it's also evaluate the success of the pilots, which will test the Open TransportNet hubs. So again, just to summarize, 3 key goals: data, access to data, harmonize the data, combine the data, and provide them for some innovation or application reuse. This is an overall schema. In the middle is the general architecture. At the bottom you have the users, different kind of users. Some people will come just to experiment with data. Some will want to create own services and do some applications, some innovative applications based on that. The OTN services will be twofold. Some of them will be free of charge. Of course, to make the platform sustainable, we plan to have some services which will be for a fee, which will be mainly for businesses, for commercial purposes. As I mentioned, the validation will be done through pilots. There are 4 pilots foreseen. One is in France, in a city called Issy. Then in Birmingham in the UK. Then it's the Liberec region in the Czech Republic and Antwerp in Belgium. All of them are will be from the transport domain, and the main focus in France will be on spatial planning, in Birmingham on road safety, in the Czech Republic on crisis management, and in Antwerp it's for infrastructure maintenance. This is the state of the art, just the basic initiatives and standards that will be used and taken into account. There are few projects we are basing on. It's the Habitats project, it's the European Location Framework project, Plan for All, Plan for Business, and some others. Again, briefly about the innovative aspects. So building hub for transport purposes. It's the easy access to data, because today we face problems of accessing data, and we would like to improve that. Then it's to enhance the role of GeoPortal and data hubs. Easier use of existing infrastructures, so combining data from different portals and hubs. Then linking data through the W3C standards, and enhancing knowledge with volunteer geographic information. And the last aspect is environment for SMEs, developing new transport applications. The end users, as I already mentioned, people who will just play with the platform and have fun. There will be some sponsors who will want to go into more details and get the data in special form, and to have them in some kind of reliable manner. And then there are innovators, developers, SMEs who will just use the data, access to data through API or other means. There are some benefits for wider EU, facilitating use of GI, which is the main objective of the call. Then contributing new input into GI standards, mainly OGC and W3C standards, and increasing public knowledge about geographic information. And this is about the sustainability, as I mentioned, twofold. There will be kind of freemium business model, so most of the services and data will be for free because we are focused on open data, and some of the tools and services will be charged. So thank you for your attention. If you have any questions related to this project, please feel free to ask. If not, I will then open the second part of the workshop, and I will set or ask a question. The first question out of 3. And the question is, what can we do to bring the Inspire SDI into businesses? Any ideas? I just made a simple schema, and based on the on one of the document of EU about interoperability, I structured these interoperability challenges, or what can bring Inspire SDI into business, into four parts. It's the technical part, it's the organizational part, it's the semantics of data and services, and it's the legal part, the legal aspects. And my question is, do you have any ideas what is really what are the problems or challenges that are needed to bring SDI into businesses? Any ideas? Any problems you face?
One of the problem is that we don't know exactly what the enterprises want.
What they want.
What they want exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So our approach is now to give our data as generic as possible.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So they can do what they want with the data.
Yeah. Okay. So you provide the data, and they
Yes, but not aggregated, but as flat as possible.
Okay. Yeah. So. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Very good.
So multi-purpose for multi-purposes.
Mm-hmm. 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 That's interesting. Yeah. The question is then from my side, if this will be enough for most of the kind of businesses, because for any purpose, using generic data is very difficult, because for certain applications you need different application schemas, you need to store them differently. So it's a question whether Inspire as such is able to help to everyone, or if there is need to really go into more details and provide data in various spatial data schema and so on.
No.
I can maybe give you the microphone just so it's.
The schemas, of course, we try to respect the 34 data schemas of Inspire, of course. But if we have much more than this data in our databases, and then we try to through the metadata to describe as much as possible that data and give them, but so flat as possible, through standard services. Okay, but so that people can access the data as easy as possible. But we try to give not so much our own touch to the data. So in order that companies can get the data and combine it as free as possible. Mm-hmm. So we let inside of the data, perhaps in the attribute tables, informations which we don't know if they are usable, but probably they and on the outside, in the private sector, they will use that. Then they have much more combining possibilities.
Thank you.
Thank you for your opinion. I assume that we don't have any is there any other question? Anyone who is from the business sector?
No, I'm not from the business sector. Definitely not from the business sector, but just after lunch, I've been to another workshop. It was the Central European Perspective. Part, and it was specifically the Czech and Polish cluster speaking over there. And actually, they finished their presentation with a set of questions, or kind of problem-raising questions. And it says, if you don't just speak about the SDI, but Inspire specifically, then they said there is a lot of legal and organizational issues which remain, especially cross-border. So, for example, they said that in Poland, their transport network was in one hand, but in the Czech Republic, it was in two different organizations. So, even if they agree, even if they work together at one organization level cross-border, it wouldn't match. And also, they raised the issue that there's a harmonization, content harmonization issue, especially cross-border. But I also see a problem myself with legal and organizational aspects, and more specifically that Inspire doesn't necessarily gives us the overlapping or overlapping data problem. So, for example, if a water authority collects data on rivers, and the mapping agency does the same, so which one will be the official? How will which one will use in Inspire, and how can you sell something to someone as a service when you have several data of the same kind? So which one will you use?
There's one more.
Let me say that the problem can extend even further, and this is accountability for the data. You start your business, you invest a lot of money, time, energy, intelligence, and whatever it takes, and then the data provider, just as the day goes, changes the data structure, and then decides to abandon publishing this data, and so on and so on. So these are the little troubles within Inspire that are not easy to be solved. Not only Inspire, any current SDI doesn't have legal terms how to become a critical data infrastructure. How you can depend on the data that you provide. I'm going to have a workshop tomorrow on the health and the environment, and we will be solving the same issue. How can someone who's running risk assessments depend on the data, on the contents, on the quality, on the sustainability of the data that will be provided, and so on and so on. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other opinions? If not, I will just move to other slide, because I was thinking about this problem as well, and I came just with a few ideas what, in my view, is preventing to bring Inspire into businesses. And as it was mentioned, the biggest problem I see also at the organizational level and probably the legal level. The technical issues are basically not any issues. There are a few issues on the side of the semantics. It can be terminology, it can be data quality, because user needs to know what quality of data is he using. That's quite crucial thing, or application schemas. But the organizational aspects include mainly the capacity, the willingness to share data. There are some cultural differences. The legal aspects, as it was already mentioned, it's the licensing, privacy, security. These things are not yet solved into details which would enable combining data. For example, if you have different license which is in contradiction, then you are not able to combine the data, even they are, for example, open, but they have some specific issues which prevent you to combine them. So thank you, and I think we will go to the other question, which will be presented by Stefan.
Maybe shortly introduce Stefan Kafka, who offered us the possibility to share some questions he came to and identify together with his colleagues, and with that I would give floor to Stefan. So please go ahead.
Only very shortly, I would like to discuss these questions. At the first, I will show you all slides before the discussion. Dealing with now semantic web is very often used word in some areas, and my question is if link open data, if it is, how do you feel if it is the future, or it's only modern buzzword? And if it is, if it does make sense to transfer spatial data, as we know in Inspire, to transform them in link open data and semantic web data. And the second question is regarding correlation of both two words. If we can expect that these two words will be living together, not touch each other, or if we are able technically to provide some replication of transformation of existing SDI into LOD, or build on fly, for instance, LOD infrastructure on current SDI tools. And the second and the third slide is dealing with area of usage of these technologies, and some mental problems which adopting these technologies on both worlds. So let me go back, and I would like, what do you think about using spatial data in the semantic web, and what are your opinion and experience with it? Do you have any idea?
Can we know what is what makes sense in 10 years.
Maybe some thoughts to trigger discussion is the question. We know how long time it took INSPIRE and SDI initiative from sometime 10 years ago and where it is now. And the question is where this similar parallel initiative related to the semantic technologies and in connection with spatial data is nowadays. So there's some sort of comparison, how much time and effort was spent for certain initiative and how much time and already some tangible outcomes is visible through some, for example, link geodata applications and data sets. So yeah, that's the question, whether, like Stepan indicated, whether you see some strong calling potential future use cases coming from LOD, or really we should keep some sort of respect and maybe wait the time to see how this movement will evolve, because there are two completely different concepts behind. This is the INSPIRE, and let's call it SDI. It's more legally driven, or more driven by the public sector, whilst these ring data are more technology driven, and currently seems that the players on the scene are a bit different than in SDI and INSPIRE. So the question is, what's your feeling? I mean, do you trust this movement of LOD, or you just wait and you will see?
And to this, I feel that LOD now is represented by DBpedia or GeoNames and some voluntary work, not state government, etc. Like INSPIRE tends to be some official work. So I would like to know what is your, for instance, experiences in this area.
I think the open government initiatives I think the open government or open data initiatives are much more towards LOD, for example, because it's much simpler just to implement for punctual data like that. But INSPIRE is a bit more like legacy data, heavy data that we need to be able to derive maybe policy and etc. But based on heavy structure of measuring, then the open data is more like how do you say, enhanced data already, like already elaborated, so that it's easier to publish elaborated data, I think, within the LOD framework, and you make more use of it in terms of business if it's linked, rather than otherwise trying to find your links yourself. It's a bit like your project, trying to identify all the sources kind of on your own and building your platform, which is going to fetch or retrieve data from different sources, but you know them in advance in some ways. Then the LOD would allow you to dynamically probably have more business-like, and you know, this is another buzzword, the geoanalytics or the business analytics. You know, I mean, I believe, but I think that to me there is a place for the two systems, probably, but it's different data sets. I'd say.
So, both thoughts?
Yeah, I cannot share any experience, but what I think is that the difference between how we deal with data in the INSPIRE or the conventional SDI and what is done by the linked data movement is that the mechanism is completely different, which means that you cannot compare them in a straight way. But what you have in common, and that's I think the basic idea why it's both very useful, is that you provide a certain level of interoperability. So in both cases you have your data as a source which you can use in the Inspire and the conventional SDI to find and to retrieve and to analyze and that kind of things. On the other hand, for the linked data, you can use it as a source to link your own data with. So the only thing we have to do additional to what we do now is that we have to publish in a different way, so then you can use it in a linked open data infrastructure, which means that we have already an SD, an ID, an identifier, and as you said before, onto my question as an answer, you have to look for an ontology which is suited the specific spatial data characteristics. So if it's there, we can use it to have the most advantage of both sides, I think. So that's a little bit the way I think it is, but we have to do different things because there are different mechanisms.
May I ask you just regarding what you said? I mean, now I speak personally. I think one of the strongest sort of driver on behalf of this linked open data is this versatility. I mean, the fact that in Inspire there was delineated the scope with 34 teams with very complex detail, actually modeling, description, that's really, let's hope, perspective of reality on quite complex level. But on the other hand, the potential of this semantic web is the fact that actually you should be able to relatively easily combine data, which on the first look they actually don't have too much commonalities, but putting those two data sets, even spatial, together, you can be surprised to what kind of added value you will get. So that's something that somehow keeps us keeping eye on that movement to see where they will be able to end up.
No, I think that's a big difference, because indeed for Inspire we had to define our own relation. So basically what we did, if you compare it to the linked data, is that we built our own ontology based on the classical SDI conventions. And that makes it very complex and cumbersome. On the other hand, we were forced from a public sector law, directive, whatever. And this other way of looking at your data, so by using the linked open data methodology mechanism, then you have a more organic way, and it could be much more simple, and it's not driven from some legal aspect, but it's driven from a user driven point of view. So that makes a big difference in both sides, and I think that there will be more perspective in that, but it will grow slowly, and you have to put effort in it, which is not paid for or whatever.
Actually, this is quite important or interesting question. I mean, if I may say, I'm coming from public sector, from environmental domain, and we are now actually quite, of course, this semantic technology is completely new for us. But what we realized is the question how much time and effort we should spend really to, we should spend to and invest into understanding of completely new paradigm and new approaches. But on the other hand, I think, at least if I may answer to your question, to us this I think third option was the most realistic, to really have this legally delineated requirements through current existing infrastructure like SDI, the metadata network services and everything on top of it. But at the same time, really, where it makes sense to make available part of this data, which really are somehow attractive from other domains, mainly from the other domains, and to make them available as a, for example, Sparkle endpoint, and to be queryable through these link technologies. And I think for us, this option is the most realistic. But I would be happy to hear your opinion if you either already managed to have some practical deployments, or if you are planning to do some some implementation of these technologies. What's your feeling? What are your plans? Because some of you, I know, you are coming from bodies and sectors where these things are quite topic of the day, but some of you we don't know at all. So it would be great to hear your views or at least feelings.
My opinion is that it strongly depends on concrete application. We can say some generic answers because it very depends on data structure, etc.
Okay.
But anyone else?
Maybe you can.
The last slide. It's about people and their knowledge and their understanding the technologies. I'm personally from GIS, GIS part of the world, so we are very we are in beginning with using LOD, and I would like to share share your experiences with these two worlds and understanding and common use of them.
Well, you just mentioned that you are a GI expert, so I will ask you the question. Do you understand the LOD technologies?
Of course, but partly.
So I think that answers to your question, especially the second one, but I don't think there would be a problem. I mean, there could be a problem because people think differently, but it wouldn't be a problem of GI experts not understanding the LOD technologies or vice versa. I don't think it's, I mean, I'm not deeply involved in linked open data. I just started studying it about a year ago. But what I see, it's not too complex in theory, or the technology itself. I mean, linking the data, it is very complex, but the technology behind it's something which has been used already for a long time. So I don't think that part would cause a problem. And myself, I'm very much in favor of linked open data. I don't know where it will go, but I hope it will go. And just to add, the European Environment Agency is experimenting a lot on linked open data. I don't know how much they went into the spatial dimensions. Not yet. I haven't heard about that, but linked open data is a top in experimenting.
Okay, I think in the sake of time, really thank you a lot for the inputs. But I would also like to give some thought to yeah, really just to go to conclusion of this workshop. Maybe may I ask you to really just pick up the most important topics, and you would like to hear the opinion of the audience.
Okay. How can I open? Oh, okay, sorry.
fine.
Okay. So my questions were more related to the added value for the SMEs in Europe. Okay, I had planned 4 questions, but given the time we have, I will just focus on the second and third one, which are more focused on the SMEs. So the first one would be, what's the real value for SMEs? Of using the cloud infrastructures. I am pointing here some ideas like, okay, the cloud allows you to deploy in a more easy way your application, so your customers can use it more easily from different devices. You have some cost reductions, so you are focusing on your business, so you don't have to take care of the infrastructure itself, so buying servers or more storage. It also allows you to escalate or having a more flexible way to develop your applications. So if you want to others use your applications, they can use it through the APIs, for instance. So in addition, you provide reuse of the applications, not to invent again the wheel. And also collaboration. So this allows that not only your employees and your customers, but also, you can build an ecosystem of companies using your own solution and integrate it with other systems. So this is some ideas I had, but I don't know if you have some other ideas in regards to the benefits for the SMEs using the cloud platform. More in special in the GIS domain, of course.
If you may ask, does some of you have some experience with the cloud infrastructures? It doesn't have to be in agricultural, but have you been involved somehow in deploying some solutions on the cloud? Okay. And on operational level or on some testing level?
Both, and I think it's a big opportunity for, I work for a fairly small company. You don't have to set up your own infrastructure just for testing environments, for example, if you want a client to look into what you've been developing. Okay. So I think that's definitely a good thing. Scalability also, because if you want your applications to react to lots of users, you wouldn't be able to do that just at your own company. You have to buy more servers and things like that. So I think the cloud is a great thing.
And from the economical point of view, you said you are from private sector?
Yes.
But was it worth invest to some third-party cloud service than invest to own resources and keep it in-house?
Sometimes easier because you can switch them off. You don't need them anymore. So it may be more expensive to actually have the services running in the cloud, but then you only have it running for the time that you actually need it, which may be just 2 or 3 months.
Yeah, interesting. Perfect, thank you. Some more experience in the cloud?
Okay, and then the third one was related to what could be the threats for the SMEs using the cloud. So some idea is that maybe the cloud is not for everybody because it depends on your requirements. So for instance, some things I can see is that there are several cloud providers. So sometimes or many times you have to develop your applications based on their APIs. So if you try to move to another cloud provider, probably you will have to be compliant with their own APIs. So that means to re-architecting the applications and so on. And sometimes for some cloud providers, the support for the customer is not their highest priority. So sometimes you have to do it by yourself. And I think the The most important one is the security one, which is many times cloud providers put a lot of or pay a lot of attention to the security aspects, and probably it's in a higher level than the ones that we have in our own companies. But even though there is also the risk of having a hole in the security. Also, many times companies that put their data or applications in the cloud, they want to have control of their own data, but we could have the case like Google or Facebook that once you put the data there, who is the owner of the data that you are putting? For instance, something that I forgot to mention in the Foodie presentation is that one key aspect for us is the security as well, because we aim that farmers contribute their own data to the platform, but for them it's not very interesting or pertinent that everybody can access to their data, because the farmer who lives next to you could see what is your production in numbers or your benefits and so on. So it can be like you are offering for free data to your competitors. So this is also important. And also related to this is the granularity of the access to the data. So it's also interesting to have different levels of access to the data. So your employees could have full access, but your providers or other companies that are related to you should have less access to different. And also the pricing and service level agreements, in the sense that, maybe you are paying for a premium fee, but at the end it results that you are just using a few minutes your application when you have paid for hours, for instance. So this is a problem as well. So I don't know if you have identified any other issues.
Maybe just to what you said, I was wondering whether some of you already experienced some services. Maybe you said you had some direct company example or experience. Could you also negotiate with the service operator the conditions for the service? I mean, did they offer you their own conditions for use, or you could also came with some specific chapters in the agreement? Was it relatively open?
We usually had some fairly simple requirements.
Okay. So nothing specific.
Well, sometimes specifics, like what operating systems you need, what kind of data,
Okay.
what kind of versioning.
Actually, this is one of the questions which can be maybe depends on size of the contract and on the partners on both sides. But I think there is still a relatively limited space. Please correct me if I'm wrong. That if you start to speak with these big cloud operators, usually they have relatively clear rules under which they provide their services. And I think you as a customer have relatively limited possibilities to change these conditions, but that's maybe something for the future, that if more these cloud services will come to the market, it will provide more opportunities. So yeah. So if there are some questions for the last part, if no, then I would first of all, thanks to all presenters, and also I would like to really conclude with 3 points which I noted down. The first one was really that the business potential behind the SDIs there is, but still needs some sort of stimulation. The second point, which came to my interpretation of the discussion, was that either SDI as well as Link Open Data, they have their strong potential, but they have to be also carefully considered for what kind of application or use case are going to be deployed. And for the last point, the third point was the fact that this role of the clouds have strong advantages with this flexibility, but sometimes there have to be considered these threats like mentioned here, and maybe also these SLAs could be some sort of solution how to, for example, provide certain cloud infrastructure on a certain level free of charge, and maybe then after there are some potential customers who really need some stronger performance, then specific conditions have to be applied. So without any further thoughts, really many thanks for your patience. We really appreciate your time, your questions, your comments. We will try to note them down, and hopefully after the conference we will try to prepare some sort of conclusion. So if you would like to put your names on that sort of minutes, please let us know, come back to us, we will put you there, and hopefully also see you in the near future as a customer of the products delivered by the projects, but also as sort of reviewers. So really many thanks once again, and enjoy the rest of the conference. Tohle máme všetko. Počkám to. Vypojím tě, poprosím vám to. A tu poslední verzi, já ti dám klíč.
Keep me